Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Inspiring Mothers in Business. We are really proud and pleased today to be able to interview Margaret Thorli. And Margaret Thorli is a magnificent woman. She has an amazing bio. And let me just take a second to just read out her bio to you. She's a successful mompreneur, a CEO, an author, a public speaker, a trainer, and a career mentor for single women and lone parents. As a business owner and an executive coach, she creates and facilitates lifelong workshops and seminars to advise individuals as single fathers and young people about freelancing, employment, starting a business, and business support. Margaret has also written a book that she's going to tell us about later on today. So she's an absolutely amazing, inspirational lady, and we're very pleased to have her. Welcome, Margaret. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Margaret. I'm actually you're sitting in your very professional office there, and I'm sitting in my car conducting this interview.
It's so good. It's so good.
Because it's Monday afternoon and the weather's glorious, and I'm actually at a barbecue, but I've taken time out, especially to have an interview that I'm very excited about having with you. So excuse the background, but it's all good. Okay.
It's all good. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Really, really excited. It just goes to show you're human. You got things to do, personal life as well as mixing it with business. And sometimes we tend to forget to do that. You know, we just focus on business and we forget about, you know, the other side of our life. So now that's all good, girl. That's good.
Yeah. Fantastic, great. So first of all, I mentioned in your bio that you are an author. So just tell us a little bit about the book that you've recently launched.
The book I recently launched is A Single Mother and the Dating Game. And funny enough, I wrote it over a year ago and I did nothing with it. And I just left it. It was in Amazon, in Lulu and all those things. And I've just left it. And the good thing, you know, as a single mothers who are thinking of going into business, it's really important that we have a business mentor or coach, because here I am, I've got this book, I'm not doing anything, and I'm speaking to my book editor, and then he challenged me, and then I got somebody who's a coach, who's an author, and they says to me, well, what do you do with your book? At home. Do you tell anybody about your book? No. And, you know, so he really pushed me. So I literally started promoting this book from last year, October, and yeah, I've written it about a year ago.
Oh,
you
wow.
know, so I written about a year ago. But funny enough, what we are actually going to talk about, because it is fear, I don't know if they can see it. This is my other book, which is called Elephants in Your Stomach Instead of Butterflies.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so what we're going to talk about in terms of conquering your fear, it actually came from this book. And from writing my journey on this book, Elephant in My Stomach Instead of Butterfly, and you can just hear the title alone, that was just pure fear, you know. And when I finished writing, in the middle of writing that part of conquering your fear, and I'm thinking, I've got something there. And then I finished it and went on, and I'll tell you that story, how I got that going and start talking about it as well. So yes.
Oh, fantastic. Great. And that leads us very nicely into the actual theme of today. It's about conquering your fears, because at Inspiring Mothers in Business, we have, you know, an array of mothers that are in business, some that are looking to go into business, but often what stops us going into business is our fears, is that voice that talks in our heads, you know, are we good enough? Can we do this? But also for those mothers that are actually in business already, you still have the ongoing fears about, you know, can I make it? Can I be successful? And lots of other things. So from your experience, how do you actually support women in terms of, you know, conquering their fears? What do you do? What sort of advice do you give them?
The first thing I do, because, okay, first of all, I run a training center. Our training center is called HR Training Professionals. We're accredited centers and everything. As I said to you, when I wrote this book here, and I talked about fear, and I thought, that's it. I'm going to design a program. Anybody who join us, you're going to be doing that doing this program, because, and I find out when they do, it just breaks so many barriers. Because what I looked at through that journey, because many of the lone parents that we work with within the community, they're disadvantaged group, they've been out of business for a long time, if they used to, or been out of work for a long time, and through the process of bringing up their own children, they probably discovered they had passion of something, or making jewelry, or whatever it is. But like we say, it's the fear that will stop them to do so. So what I do is get them to connect with their fear. Is get them to connect with the fear. What is it? And look at their barriers and what are their limitations. And then move on to support them through coaching and mentoring and that kind of thing. So, yes.
And so when you get them to look at their fears, in terms of your experience, what would you say were the 3 biggest fears? If you had to sort of identify the top 3 biggest fears out of all of the ones that have come, you know, to your attention, what would be the top 3?
The top 3, one of them, the biggest one, is finance. All right. The next one is the unknown. You're not sure, the unknown world, to stepping out forward. You're not sure. And your past had a big, massive play to it. So what the first thing I normally address is your past. All right. Because it doesn't matter what we do out there, we can do it. But sometimes, like you say, you rightfully say, you have the voices that comes in, you can't do it, who you are, what you think, and you end up not going. And plus you have the voice of your friends as well. If they are saying negative things as well, that impacts a lot. If they themselves are not a positive person, and you can't share your dreams, you can't share your visions, they're not going to understand it. So they're going to say one word, and that's going to just push you all the way back again, and you're not going to start the business. However, let me just share a journey with you, what happened to me in that journey, and what got me to do Conquering Your Fear before you start your business. I lost my business about 2004, my last business. I started my own business at the age of 21, all right? So I've run businesses, you know. I've gone out there and have a pub, became the first Black woman, lone parent, to own and run her own pub. So I still had fear all throughout the journeys. I still have those fears. I took a career break for about a year. I didn't do anything. I was burnt out after the pub. Went back straight after a year, opened another shop. And then I lost the shop due to 9/11 at the time. And that affected my business. And I then entered the fear of, not depression, what do I do? I've always run my own business. What do I do? The fear of going back to college. You know, I haven't been at college or school, God knows when. I've only known about business, you know. Well, however, when I then gone through all the journey, then the fear of getting a job. Never worked for somebody. How do I work for somebody? How do I take orders?
Yeah.
How do I cope with somebody come and tell me what to do? I've always been in a position telling people what to do. So that was another fear I had to overcome. But the biggest fear I had to connect with, you see, when fear comes to us, it comes and asks us to connect. It comes and asks for clarity. And clarity asks for actions.
Right.
And I remember, got the job, excellent job, dream of my job, not in the office all the time, always out there. And then my job then, never done presentation, never. And then here I am, being sent to go and do a presentation. So I hear my boss says, look, you know, you need to go to the presentation. We work very closely with the job centers. They're having an event. It's all about lone parent. Go, yeah, my hand was up. I was excited. I got there, entered the room. There was 150 lone parents.
Wow.
And there were training providers right across Haringey and Phil all over. I came with my power suit on, feeling, you know, set up the store. And then they start asking some of the providers to go and speak.
Yeah.
And as the providers goes in, fear came and knocked on my door. Who's going to listen to you?
Okay.
What have you got to say? Right. And I start looking at the steps. Oh my God, the steps are too narrow. Oh my God, the stage is too big. I'm going to fall off. And finally, I was called. I got on stage. My knees were knocking. The paper for the presentation was shaking.
Right.
And I stood in the middle there, everybody's looking at me.
Yeah.
I then take the presentation, put it behind my hand, and then I said, Margaret, everyone here is a lone parent, just like you.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them the story, how you got to stand here and wearing this power suit. Tell them your story.
Yeah.
That's when it started for me. But the biggest one, when I say you need to connect with your fear and your past,
Yeah.
is I remember the following day, I was going to do another presentation, and these are high up. These are people that gives out contracts, making decision makings. And I'm driving, going there in the morning, again, my power suit on, the makeup is on, you know, the usual.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, fear came again, knock on my door as I'm driving. And then I had to question myself. I pulled the car in a car park and I asked myself, why are you so fearful? What is it that's making you so fearful? And I remember sitting in the car, crying my eyes out, really crying my eyes out. My makeup was ruined and everything. But there was a song that was playing at the background by Mary Mary. It says, I've never brought you this far to leave you alone. But as I'm listening to the words and singing to the words, a light bulb went on. And the same question, why are you fearful? Another light bulb came on. What are your achievements? And I started to rally my achievements. Well, you're a single mother of two. You're bringing your boys really well. You've been running your own business by the age of 21. You own your own home. Do you know what, Linda? Fear went. That from that day, because I connected with that fear, find out where it was coming from. And it was coming from what my dad used to say to me, that I'm not going to amount to anything.
All right.
So when you're growing up having those words, you're always trying to prove yourself, proving your parent that actually I'm going to be. So that's what I meant about that fear. We need to connect with it. When you connect with it, you have a clarity. When you have a clarity, you take action. And for me, that's how I connected my fear. And that's how I challenge anybody who comes into our workshop, Conquering Your Fear, Starting Your Own Business. I take you back. A lot of people say they're not fearful, but it's great, it's wonderful. But it's somewhere along the line, the journey. So I take them back through that and through the presentation and get them to connect where they are. Because I do believe majority of the women that we work with, they do want to do something. They want to prove themselves.
Yes.
You know, so that's how we connect our fear. That's how I challenge them. And also through telling my journey and being real with it. Then people connect with you.
Yeah, and that's so amazing. And thank you so much for sharing that. That was so beautifully put and so authentic. And, you know, it's amazing. It's just an amazing example in terms of looking at your past and just having that conversation with yourself. So not allowing those limiting beliefs that might have been put in your head from childhood to overtake you in that moment when you had your power suit on, you were raring to go, but you had a different conversation with yourself which eliminated those fears and allowed you to move forward. And I think, you know, I've got a range of questions here, but I think from what you've just said there, you've answered a lot of those in terms of, you know, what you can do to turn those fears around. And it's not rocket science, is it? It's really just...
No, it isn't. But sometimes we can sit here because we're going through that journey. We're going through looking at our limits, beliefs all the time, and we always don't check on them. Some people haven't had that opportunity, or some people haven't had that time to have that checklist. Some people haven't had the time to conquer or have that conversation, because I come to the point now where I'm saying fear actually is real. It's a person. Have a conversation with it. So that way you can find out where it's coming from that. And majority of the lone parent that comes in, particularly I work with lone fathers as well, you know, when they're coming through our doors, because, you know, lone fathers, they're supposed to be the provider, they're supposed to be at work, and all of a sudden they're with their children, and they're thinking, and all the confusion and that conversation. And I always say to them, don't be afraid to have that conversation. Have that conversation and be genuine with that conversation, because through having that conversation, that's when the answers comes through into that. So yes.
And I think the key thing there is about being genuine with that conversation, because you can you can start that conversation and then start answering it yourself, but in that unlimiting belief way, and not necessarily
Yeah.
in the positive sense to get yourself out of it. You could talk yourself out of, or talk yourself back into thinking, well, no, actually I can't do this, what am I even thinking about, you know, as opposed to doing it in the positive way, and limiting those unlimiting beliefs. So yeah.
No, I agree with you. And this is where the coaching comes in. This is where you have a business mentor. And I also another thing I do when I'm training on the business, for business startups, I always say to those participants, and says, listen, you're out of the group. It depends how many friends you have. You only need one good friend that would be motivating you, that would be listening to you, because sometimes we can't really truly afford maybe a business coach or mentor. When we started, I remember having that journey. You know, I needed support, but I know I couldn't afford that expertise that I've truly needed. But it was look around the circles that I have, that I know there was one person, no matter what happened, I can actually go and talk to them, you know, and they are real. They will tell me the truth. You know, and sometimes you just need that. So when you're having that conversation, you got stuck. When you're having that conversation, the negative thing comes in. Have that a true friend that you can run to, that will be able to pull you out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
that's
another thing. Go on.
No. I'm saying that's very valuable. Will you move on to the second biggest fear?
Okay. Well, the second biggest fear there for us is the finance. All right. That is a massive fear when you're setting up a business, when you're going into business. And I remember when I was starting this new business that I'm in. Well, it's not new. I've been in business for 8 years now. But I remember because I was facing redundancy, and I definitely, because I worked alongside the job center for nearly 8 years, and I was facing redundancy, one thing I knew, I didn't want to go back to the job center. The second thing, I needed to start my business again.
Yeah.
The third thing, I didn't know how, because I didn't have the finance. All right. And that is one of the massive stumbling blocks that we put before us. All right. And for me to eliminate that stumbling block, what I then did is I did a pilot scheme. All right. Because I was already doing training for this company. I did a pilot scheme, see what was out there and everything. But all inside me, the key that I held on, and when I'm training, I always say to these people, the key that I could give you or anyone else could give you is believe in yourself. Believe you can do it. And for me, that was the only key I had. I had no money. I didn't know how I was going to start it. I'm worried about how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to pay the mortgage? I got 2 boys and that goes with it. But you know what? I stepped out with that one key, and that key of believing. And then the next thing to overcome the financial worries that we have, and that other key is budget. It's very, very important as young parents, as we're going into business. What I then used to do is I have 2 budgets. I have a weekly budget and a monthly budget. So I can see where I was, because when you're working, you can waste money here and there because you know you've got an income coming in. Yes. But when you're running your own business, you're not 100% sure. Yeah. So I thought, let me start practicing doing the weekly budget and the monthly budget. And by doing that, when I finally stepped in to running my own business, starting my own business, the home side of it, I have a clear picture of what I need to bring in every month to cover the home bills. Right. So that helped me a great deal. And so for me, that's the tip I would give somebody. If you're looking to start your own business, definitely look into budgeting, knowing exactly what you need and what your home needs. So for me, that was one of them.
And it may be that
the next one,
it may be that when you start out, you know, you may have to do your budget in a way that you would not necessarily normally do, just so that you've got enough funds to start. And then once you start, and then you know you start meeting goals and objectives, and you start bringing more money, and then you can rebudget and redo that exercise so that it's, you know, it's moving along with the growth of your business. Yeah.
Oh, most definitely. I rebudget constantly. Like now, I do 2 budgets: the budget for the business, and my home is connected with the business because the business pays my salary. You see, so I'm constantly rebudgeting over there with the business, and I'm rebudgeting over here to adjust accordingly as my finance comes in. So it is important that you definitely do so. You know, so yes.
Great, thank you.
What's your next one?
And number 3?
And number 3, it's number 3 is failure. The fear of failure.
Yeah.
Right? And the way I looked at failure and still looking at failure is that you only fail when you give up. You only fail when you stop swimming. You only fail when you stop running. But how I look at failure for me, it comes as a platform that I can stand on. It comes to teach me a lesson. It comes to say, hey, wake up. You know, it comes to say you can do it. It comes to say learn something from here. So, and if you look at failure that way, then you definitely, it's not going to hold you back. It's not going to hold you back because you're learning from it. You're making the adjustments. You're making the changes as you move along. And as you look at it that way, it opens a lot of door of opportunity for you. For example, I'll give you a quick example. Again, it's finance. I started the business, the money was really tight, and I had home printing with ink and everything. And I remember going out there and knocking on people's door and trying to get them to buy my products. And I remember going into this mentoring organization, you know, and I'm very passionate about that. And I remember walking in, I was fearful, I spoke, you know, they told me, okay, the person's on a meeting, if you want to wait. And I'm thinking, I said, I'm going to wait, all right. And I waited, and the guy came in, I had only 2 brochures. So I was reluctant to give him the brochure because it was expensive. And as we got in there, eventually I gave him the brochure and I walked away. It says, I'm going to call you and make an appointment. Here's my card. If you don't hear from me, call. So I did. And I called, and then he gave me an appointment and I went there. Now, this is the fear and failure together working on that time for me. New business, massive company, knocking the door, got an opportunity, going. And as I got in there, called me, went for the meeting, having a conversation on my head just for me and him, nobody else. And then I got in there, there's 5 other directors. So I'm thinking, how am I going to turn this conversation round? Not just what I've been having, but to fit in for everybody else. But this was so funny because I'm dyslexic. And it was difficult to get people to check some of my work, you know, waiting on friends. And I didn't want to do that. In business, it's great to have friends to help you, but try to do some of the things for yourself. And I remember going there, holding in for this meeting, and everybody was saying, oh, it's so colorful, we love the colors and everything. And then the guy that called me for the meeting, he went through the book, and he says to me, you know, on page so-and-so, said, yes, there is a spelling error. So everybody went quiet in the room, and I looked at him, really? I said, you know why I left that spelling error? It's because I wanted to know if you would have read my brochure. And everybody burst out laughing.
Very creative.
Everybody burst out laughing. Now, I had 2 choices there. I could have left and feel like a failure. Or contender, or I could have allowed the fear to take in. But however, as the conversation went, I left not failure, but I left with a contract.
Oh,
and a first-time comer. You know, I left with a contract. And I left not only with that, I left saying to them, can I use your organization because I'm putting a fund in, and their organization is big, well-known in the borough of Enfield. Can I use your organization, but I'm working with you? And they said, yes, of course. So you see, I could have walked away and think, oh my God, I failed. Or I could have walked away and did what I did.
Oh, well, congratulations. That is such a story. Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. And all of these examples that you're giving, are they in your book as well?
There is a book coming out, which these examples are, that book is, the title is Stop Undermining Me. I'm Not Stupid, I'm Just Dyslexic.
Wow, a huge title, very powerful. That's
Yeah, so that's that at the moment is with my book editor. So where I'm, because again, I cover conquering in fear in depth. This one I just elephants in my stomach instead of butterfly. I just covered the fear on the basic, how my everyday fear, how to deal with it. But in this book, I actually tackle fear in business setting. And if you're dyslexic or you have any disability, that kind of thing. So how you deal with it and how I dealt with it.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, so got that. That's got all these examples are in that book that's coming out.
Yeah, no, that's, you've got such a wide range of examples and experiences, and we could sit here talking all evening. It's
Yes, no, you got a barbecue to go to.
no. Never mind about that. I'm just saying that you're so engaging with all of your inspirational stories. It's absolutely fantastic. And what I'd like to do is Inspiring Mothers for Business is actually purchase one of your books, in terms of the one about conquering fears, and bring that along to our event on Saturday the 11th of May and give that out as a gift. We have a number of gifts that we'll be giving out to participants, but I think the book, you know, that relates to conquering their fears will be absolutely an amazing gift to give to somebody. And where can we get a copy of that? Would that be on Amazon?
You can get it on Amazon, or you can get it in Lulu. Just type in Lulu, so you can get. You can get it from there. If it's anything when we come off, just send me your details and I'll post that to you.
Yeah, and if anybody else is interested in getting one of your books, would they contact you directly, or they could just go onto Amazon?
Just go into Amazon, and then just go into Lulu. Then when you go into Lulu, all my books are there, and they are in Amazon as well. So you can get them, you can purchase them in Amazon as well. So yes.
Oh, that would be absolutely fantastic. And thank you so much for your time, Margaret. It's been lovely interview with you. You're such an engaging, bubbly person. It's really lovely. And you're
thank you, and the same to you. Thank you.
Yeah, and you're coming along to our event on Saturday, the 11th of May, as well, aren't you? Our Powerful Success Secrets for Mothers in Business.
I won't miss it. I'll definitely be there. And you know, it's amazing because I remember we had a very quick conversation when we first met.
Yeah.
And what I picked up from you was the passion. You see, it was the passion that came through, that you want to empower and inspire women into business, young parents, single parent into business. And I saw that through. And when I started this particular business, this charity, we didn't have that kind of thing coming in. So what you're doing, I think, is phenomenal, because I know definitely the women that's coming, all of you must turn up. Those of you are going to be listening to this interview, because you're going to be inspired. You're going to take away some tools that you can use into starting your business, or even just do your own personal life. So definitely, I am going to be there.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much for your support. And once again, thank you for an amazing interview. And we look forward to hearing more about your success. Keep us in contact with your variety of book launches, which I'm sure you'll have more and more coming forward, and any workshops that you've got going on as well to support your theme and your vision. That would be fantastic.
Thank you very much. I definitely will, but I'll definitely be there for the 11th of May, and I hope loads of women are going to be there as well.
Great, we do too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We speak soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Thank you.